I'm going to demonstrate how to make a knee-high stocking sculpture. Fairly common among high school art classes because it's a really quick intro to sculpture and just doing something, making something three-dimensional, and they usually come out pretty interesting. For this project, you're going to need some scrap blocks of wood. I had the construction class here at my school cut a whole bunch of blocks like this, about 50 of them for my class. A coat hanger, I picked these up from the local dry cleaning, but you can also send out an email and have your fellow teachers turn some in, or try and get your students to bring in some from home. Some sandpaper, a pair of pliers. This is a really heavy duty pair, but it doesn't have to be that big. A drill with a drill bit that will fit the diameter of the coat hanger right there, about the same diameter. And maybe some other random materials. I've got these pieces of mat board that I'm going to use for this demonstration, but you'll see what I'm going to do with it, and you can get creative and use your own thing. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your block of wood. This is what it looks like before, and this is what it looks like after. I sanded. I just took some of the sandpaper and I sanded down the corners of it really, really good. And I also took my drill, and you can't really see them, but I drilled a couple of holes in there. Doesn't take long. Be careful, don't drill through your hand or anything. Use a piece of scrap wood to drill through. After you have drilled the holes and sanded the block, you want to make sure you sand the block really good because you don't want it to tear the stockings that you're going to be using in just a moment. You're going to take the coat hanger and you're going to open it up and unravel it. I've already done this for the most part with this wire here. If you can see it on the camera, this is the hook end. And basically you just take these pliers and use them to straighten it out. You don't have to cut this end off or anything because it's straight right here. But if you don't like this little twisty part, which is sometimes a weak spot in the coat hanger, you can just take these pliers and you can cut that off. You do not have to cut this end off though, but I'm going to. And then this end, you probably will want to cut off because the twisty part is right at the very end and it won't go into the block of wood very well. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. All right, once you're done, you should have a straight piece of coat hanger that you can then kind of bend and twist in any direction you want. For this project, I'm going to put some of these pieces of scrap. I've already drilled some holes into this scrap mat board, and I'm going to use them to kind of make my sculpture a little more interesting. So I'm going to basically fold this over in two, fairly even. I know you can't see it very well on the camera, but it is now that long, right? And these ends down here are even. That's kind of important. I'm going to straighten these up a little bit more. And then I'm going to take this piece of mat board that I drilled holes in, and I'm going to put the coat hanger through both of those holes. Again, for this part, this is optional, and you don't have to use mat board. You can use anything that you have laying around that you think will work. And that's where your imagination comes in. You cannot poke the coat hanger through the card. You really need to drill a hole. And depending on what you choose to use instead of this mat board, you may have to drill a hole in it as well. And now I've got it all three of these on there, and I'm gonna put them in to the holes on the block. Into that hole right there, push it in there as far as it'll go. Take this one, push it in there as far as it will go. All right, once you have it in there, it's gonna look a little bit like this. I'm going to change up the top of this a little bit. You can use your pliers. I'm doing that so that this board will kind of come up here. I'm gonna bend it a little bit below. You could also probably use like hot glue or something to make the board stay where you want it to stay. So now, the way I've bent this, that piece of mat board will kind of stay right there in that area. I'm gonna do the same thing right here. You also gotta be careful a little bit about how you bend it, because eventually it'll start pulling out of these holes and you don't want that to happen. Now, this is what it looks like here. And then once you have that established, you're gonna take one of these stockings. You've got to take your fingers and go all the way to the toe. You gotta kind of like bunch it up all the way to the toe and then put it around your sculpture. Start pulling it down over the sculpture. By the way, I also cut a little bit of the corner off of the board right there. You can see it better maybe right there. I cut a little bit of the corner off so it wouldn't tear the stockings. This is a really large board, so I don't know. I try to be a little bit extreme with some of these things so that it'll be more interesting. And you just pull it down over it like that. That is the basics of the sculpture. Block of wood, coat hanger. You don't have to have this thing in the middle, these pieces, but they make the stockings do something interesting. And then you pull the stocking down over it. And you'll also want to take a few minutes and make sure that you pull everything fairly tight. Rearrange the boards or rebend the wire if you need to. You know, you can still arrange things at this point. Once you spray paint it or paint it, then you can't really do anything else with it. And down here, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this over the block of wood as tight as I can. Again, you don't want to tear it, and these stockings will tear pretty easy, but I'm gathering it up just as much as I can gather it so all of this becomes really, really tight. This one is painted black with acrylic paint. I've not completed it yet. I'm gonna put a couple more coats of paint on it. And this one has a ball in the middle of it to give it a little bit different shape, which I thought was kind of interesting. Let me show you some of the student work. These are some pieces in progress, just kind of being stored here until tomorrow.